Hello and welcome to a new video from me. Today I'm talking about patriotism and loyalty to the government and how the Bible looks at patriotism. And yeah, I hope we have a lovely time together, and thank you also for watching already. And if you have not yet, then I invite you to subscribe, to like and to share. And the first thing I am talking is the government is the physical representation of the spiritual kingdom, the spiritual kingdoms of heaven and of Satan too, but we have the Bible gives us detailed information of how to treat the government well. And I want to step into definitions before we go into the detailed scriptures. Patriotism, defined as love and devotion to one's nation, is not just a biblical term, but it has biblical principles such as respecting authority, praying for one's country and seeking its welfare. Biblical figures demonstrated a form of patriotism through the concern for the nations and fellow countrymen. However, biblical patriotism requires a balance and alignment to God, and the heavenly kingdom must always take is more important than earthly loyalty, warning against any form of Christian nationalism where the nation's interests or political party are elevated above God. That means if some nation forces you to do something what is against the Bible, then we have to remember Acts 5:20, where it says we have to obey God more than men. Biblical principles for patriotism. Respect for authority. Believers are instructed to be subject to governing authorities as they are established by God. Prayer for the nations. We believers are encouraged to pray for our nations and our leaders as seen in passages like 1 Timothy 2 verse 1-3. Seeking the nation's welfare. The Bible encourages believers to seek the good and welfare of their country and its people, similar to how Jeremiah mourned for Israel and Daniel prayed for Jerusalem. Love for fellow citizens. Biblical patriotism includes love and service to fellow citizens, recognizing that the people of one nation are like an extended family. Biblical examples: Moses' intercession. Moses pleaded with God not to destroy the Israelite nation after its rebellion, demonstrating deep concern for his people. Nehemiah's devotion. Nehemiah was so passionate about his native land that he left position of comfort to help rebuild Jerusalem's temple. Esther and Mordecai. These figures risked their life to save the Jewish people of their time, showing a powerful form of national loyalty. Paul's grief. The Apostle Paul expressed deep sorrow for his kinsmen according to the flesh, the Israelites, even wishing he could be cursed for their sake if it means their salvation. The limits of patriotism. Prioritizing God's kingdom. The highest and first alignment is to God and His heavenly kingdom. Earthly citizenship is temporary. until God establishes the kingdom on earth again, with believers being kissing of heaven, Philippians 3 verse 20. Avoiding idolatry. Patriotism can become sinful when it leads to pride that suppresses devotion to God or the identification of a political party or nation as God's party. Critical engagement. A truly biblical approach includes the ability to constructively criticize a government's actions when they contradict biblical standards rather than unreservedly supporting the nation. And now we talk about praying for the government. Praying for governments and politicals is a key discipline for every believer in Adonai Yeshua. It is a commandment, not a suggestion. The following Bible verses show this shocking truth. 1 Timothy 2 verse 1 to 4. First of all, I urge that supplication, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of Elohim our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. 1 Chronicles 7, 13 to 14. When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command the locusts to devour the land, or send pestilence among my people, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Jeremiah 29 verse 7. But seek the welfare of the city when I have sent you into exile, and pray to Adonai on his behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. 1 Peter 2 17. Honor everyone, love the brotherhood, fear Elohim, honor the emperor. Proverbs 21 verse 1. The king's heart is a stream of water in the hand of Adonai. He turns it whether he will. Titus 3 verse 1 to 2. Titus 3 1 to 2. Remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, to be gentle, and to show perfect courtesy towards all people. Psalms 22 verse 28. For kingships belong to Adonai, and he rules over the nations. Daniel 2 verse 20 to 23. Daniel answered and said, Blessed is the name of Elohim forever and ever, to whom belongs wisdom and might. He changes time and seasons. He removes king and sets up king. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows that in the dark, what is in the darkness, and the light dwells within. To you, O Eloah, of my fathers, I give thanks and praise, for you have given me wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we ask you for. You have made known to us the king's matter. Romans 13 1 to 14. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from Elohim, and those that exist have been instituted by Elohim. Therefore, whosoever resists the authorities resists what Elohim has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Will you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is Elohim's servant for your good, but if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of Elohim, an avenger who carries out Elohim's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore, one must be subjection, not only to avoid Elohim's wrath, but also for the sake of the conscience. Proverbs 11:14, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in abundance of counselors there is safety. Job 12:23-25, he makes nations great and he destroys them. He enlarges nations and leads them away. He takes away understanding from the chiefs of the people of the earth and makes them wander in trackless waste. They grope in the dark without light, and he makes them stagger like a drunken man. Matthew 12:25. Knowing their thoughts, he said to them, every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, and no city or house divided against itself can stand. Psalms 2:1-4. Why do the nations rage and people plot vain? The kings of the earth have set themselves, and the rulers that take counsel together against Adonai, against his anointed, saying, let us bruise their bounds apart and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens laughs, Adonai holds them in judgment. 2 Corinthians 4:4. In their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Hamashiach, who is the very image of Elohim. Psalms 2:10-12 says, now therefore, O kings, be wise and be warned. O ruler of the earth, serve Adonai with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way, for his wrath is quickly kindled. Blessed are those who take refuge in him. Acts 4:29. But Peter and apostles answered, we must obey Elohim rather than man. Proverbs 28:2. When a land transgresses, it has many rulers, but with a man of understanding, knowledge, its stability will continue. Isaiah 96:7. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Pele, Wonderful, Yoetz, Counselor, El-Gibor, Mighty God, Aviad, Possessor of Eternity, or Father of Eternity. Shalom is Prince of Peace. Of this increase of his government and peace there will be no end, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The seed of Adonai Sebaot will do that. Titus 3:1. Remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good work. 1 Peter 2:13-17. Be subject to Adonai's sake, to every man's institution, whether it be the emperor or as supreme, or to governors as sent by him to punish those who do evil and to praise those who do good. For this is the will of Elohim, that by doing good you should be put to silence the ignorance of foolish people. Live as people who are free, not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of Elohim. Honor everyone, love the brotherhood, fear Elohim, honor the emperor. Jeremiah 17:7-8. Blessed is a man who trusts in Adonai, whose trust is in Adonai. He is like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by a stream and does not fear when heat comes, for its leaves remain green and is not anxious in a year of drought, for it does not cease to bear fruit. Psalms 33:12 says, blessed is the nation whose Elohim is Adonai, the people whom he has chosen as his inheritance. 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people of his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. 1 Timothy 2:2. For kings and all who are in high position, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. John 19:11. Yeshua answered him, "You would have no authority over me at all, unless it has been given to you from above. Therefore, he who has delivered me over to you has the greater sin." Colossians 2 verse 15, he disarmed the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame by triumphing over them in him. Daniel 2 verse 21, he changes time and seasons, he removes king and sets us kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and acknowledgement to those who have understanding. Proverbs 29 verse 2, when the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people groan. Ephesians 6 verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic power of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Micah 2 verse 13, he who opens the breach goes up before them. They break through and pass the gate. Going out by it, their kings pass on before them. Adonai as at their head. Leviticus 26 verse 6, I will give peace in the land. You will lie down and none shall make you afraid. And I will remove harmless beasts from the land, and the sword shall not go through your land. Ephesians 2 verse 2, in which you once walked, following the course of the world, following the prince of power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience. Matthew 28 verse 18, and Yeshua came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Exodus 18 verse 21. Moreover, look for able men from all the people who fear Elohim, who are trustworthy and have a bribe, and place such men over the people as chiefs of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. 1 John 1:29, if we confess our sin, he is faithful and just to forgive our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Matthew 25:22 verse 15 to 22. Then the Pharisees went and plotted how to entangle him in his words, and they sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians, saying, Teacher, we know that you are true and teach the way of Elohim trustfully, and you do not care about anyone's opinion, for you are not swayed by appearance. Tell us what you think. Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But Yeshua, aware of their malice, saying, why do you put me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin of the tax. And they brought him a denarius, and Yeshua said to them, whose likeness and inscription is this? They said, Caesar's. Then he said to them, therefore render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and Elohim the things that are of Elohim. When they heard it, they were marveled, and they left him and went away. You see, taxes are not just evil, they are necessary for providing you safety. Genesis 12 verse 1 to 3. Now Yeshua Adonai said to Abram, go you from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you, and I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonor you I will cause, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Psalms 67 verse 3 to 7. Let the people say let the people praise you, O Elohim. Let all the peoples praise you. Let the nations be glad and sing for joy. For you judge the peoples with equity and guide the nations upon earth. Selah. Let the people praise you, O Elohim. Let all the peoples praise you. Let the earth has yielded its increase. Our Elohim shall bless us. Elohim shall bless us. Let the end of the earth fear him. 1 Samuel 12 verse 12 says, and when you saw the Nahash, the king of Amorites, came against you, you said to me, no, but a king shall reign over us, when Adonai your God was your king. John 4:23 says, but the hour is coming, and is now here, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father is seeking such people to worship him. Ezekiel 22 verse 30 says, And I sought for a man among them who should build up the wall and stand in a breach before me for the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. Proverbs 29 verse 4, By justice a king builds up the land, but he who exacts gifts tears down. Hebrews 13 verse 17 says, Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they are keeping watch over your souls, as such of who will have to give an account. Let them do this with joy and not with groaning, for that would be of no advantage to you. Philippians 3 verse 20 says, But our citizenship is in heaven, and from it we await the Savior, Adonai Yeshua Mashiach. Philippians 2 verse 14 to 16, Do all things without grumbling and disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of Elohim without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Hamashiach I may be proud that I did not run in vain or labor in vain. Romans 13:8, Or one knows anything except the love of each other, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. Genesis 9:6, Whosoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. Elohim made man in his own image. Daniel 4:32 says, And you shall be driven from among men, and your dwelling shall be in the beasts of the field, and you will be made to grass like an ox, and 7 periods of time shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules the kingdom of man and gives it to whom he will. Isaiah 66 verse 2, All the things my hand has made, and all the things came to be, declares Adonai. But this is the one to whom I will look, he who is humble and contrite in spirit, tramples at my word. Psalms 9:17, The wicked shall turn to Sheol, all the nations that forget Elohim. Ephesians 1:21, Far above all rule and authority and power and dominion, and above every name that is named, not only in this age, but also in the one to come. 1 Timothy 6 verse 15, Which you display at the proper time. He who is blessed and only sovereign, the King of kings and the Lord of lords, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light, whom no one has ever seen or can see. To him be honor and eternal dominion. Amen. Revelation 11:15 says, Then the seventh angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, The kingdom of the world has come, the kingdom of our Adonai and of his Hamashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. Acts 24 verse 16 says, So I always take pains to have a clear conscience toward both Elohim and man. Matthew 18:20 says, For there where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them. 1 Samuel 8:1-22 says, When Samuel became old, he made his sons judges over Israel. The name of his firstborn son was Joel, and the name of the second was Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba, but his sons did not walk in his way, but turned aside after gain. They took bribes and perverted justice. Then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah and said to him, Behold, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint us a king to judge us like all the nations. Philippians 4:6-7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to Elohim, and the peace of Elohim, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Yeshua HaMashiach." Matthew 6:10 says, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Isaiah 32:22 says, "For Adonai is our judge, Adonai is our lawgiver, Adonai is our king, he will save us." James 5:16 says, "Therefore confess your sin to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person has great power as it is working." Acts 17:10-11. The brothers immediately sent Paul and Silas away by night to Berea, and when they arrived, they went into the Jewish synagogue. Now these Jews were more noble than the others in Thessalonica. They received the word with eagerness, examining the scriptures daily to see if all these things were so. Leviticus 19:15 says, "You shall do no injustice in court. You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor." 1 Samuel 8:7 says, "And Adonai said to Samuel, Obey the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them." 1 Chronicles 16:11, "Seek Adonai and his strength. Seek his presence continually." 1 John 5:14-15 says, "And this is the confidence that we have toward him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us in whatever we ask, we know that we have the request that we have asked of him." Ephesians 6:1-24 says, "Children, obey your parents in Adonai, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you, that you may live long in the land. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in discipline and instructions of Adonai. Bondservants, obey your earthly masters with fear and trembling, with a sincere heart, as you would HaMashiach." Ephesians 6:18 says, "Praying at all times in the Ruach, with all prayer and supplication. To the end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints." Matthew 5:38-39. "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also." Numbers 16:46-48. And Moses said to Aaron, "Take your censer and put fire on it from off the altar, and lay incense on, and carry it quickly to the congregation. Make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from Adonai, the plague has begun." So Aaron took it as Moses said, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and behold, the plague had begun, the plague had already begun among the people, and he put on the incense and made atonement for the people, and he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. Matthew 18:19-20. "Again I say to you, if two of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them." Daniel 9:1-19 is the prayer and the supplication for the kings, for the governments among us. And I will put it down in the bio, in the description so that you can pray it for yourself, because in my opinion that is very necessary, and many don't know that prayer is the key to everything. Prayer is the key. Prayer is absolutely the key. And I hope you have loved my video, and let me know in the comment if you need something, and like, subscribe and share, and thank you for watching, and have a great day. Shalom.